Hello students, welcome to Biotech Academy. Today we'll start with carbohydrate metabolism and we'll discuss about glycolysis in this video. So to begin with, let's discuss what metabolism is. So metabolism, what do you understand by this term? Metabolism is a series of enzyme catalyzed reactions. So all the reactions that take place within any kind of cell, be it prokaryotic or eukaryotic, for enzymes are required to catalyze those reactions. So metabolism is a series of enzyme catalyzed reactions, total set of all sets of enzyme catalyzed reactions for transformation of one biomolecule to the other, as well as for the generation of energy currency, which is ATP. So in total, all the enzyme catalyzed reactions which are carried out by the cell, within the cell, to generate energy precursors and any other biomolecules which are essential for the survival of the cell. So that is known as metabolism. And this metabolism, it can broadly be categorized into two groups. One is anabolism and the other is catabolism. So what is anabolism and what is catabolism? Anabolism is the synthesis reaction. So there's a basic difference between anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is synthesis reactions, means the enzyme catalyzed reactions in which larger biomolecules are synthesized starting from the simpler compounds. Whereas catabolism is the breakdown of larger biomolecules. So it is synthesis reactions, and these are breakdown reactions. In anabolism, energy is consumed for generating larger biomolecules from simpler compounds, and catabolism is the breakdown of larger biomolecules into simpler ones with a simultaneous release of energy. So this is synthetic reactions where ATP is consumed, and this is breakdown reactions. Here ATP is generated. So these are the two terms. What metabolism and anabolism is, that these are synthetic reactions and these are breakdown reactions. And we'll discuss about glycolysis today. So what is glycolysis? Glycolysis is a type of catabolism reaction where, because it is the breakdown of 6-carbon compound glucose into 2-3 carbon compound molecules pyruvate, along with the production of ATP. So what glycolysis is, it is derived from this glycolysis word, it is derived from two Greek words. Glycose means sugar or sweet, you can say, and lysis is breakdown. Lysis is breakdown. So glycolysis is breakdown of glucose. And glucose is a 6-carbon compound. So glycolysis is the breakdown of glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, into simpler 2 molecules of 3-carbon compound pyruvate, along with the release of energy. So this glycolysis is a universal pathway which occurs in all types of cells for generation of energy. And there are few characteristics specific for some of the salient features which we'll discuss. And this glycolysis takes place in the cell cytosol or cell cytoplasm, because all the enzymes which are required in the entire pathway, which is a 10-step process, so all the enzymes, they are present in the cell cytoplasm. So we'll discuss about glycolysis. So we'll discuss some of the salient features of glycolysis. So the first and the foremost thing is, it is a universal reaction. It is a universal reaction, some of the salient features. The first is, where does it take place? So this reaction, it is a 10-step process, and all the steps, they are carried out in the cell cytoplasm, cell cytosol or cytoplasm, because all the 10 enzymes which are required in the entire pathway, they are present in the cell cytoplasm. Then the second is, it is also known as Embden-Meyerhof pathway, because it was studied by Embden and Meyerhof. Then third point is, it is universal. So it occurs in all types of cells, be it prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Then fourth, this process, this glycolysis, is a prerequisite for the electron transport chain, which occurs in the mitochondria for generation of energy or ATP molecules. That is why mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of the cell. So conversion of glucose to pyruvate is essential. Then only these pyruvate molecules, then they are consumed in the electron transport chain for the production of ATP. But in cells, in those cells where mitochondria is absent, so there are certain tissues, certain cell types where mitochondria is absent. So in those kinds of cells, glycolysis is the main pathway from which energy is generated. So some like erythrocytes or cornea or islands. So these are the cells, these are certain tissues where mitochondria is absent. So how energy will be produced in such cells? So glycolysis takes care of that. Then another thing is that this glycolysis can occur even in the presence or absence of oxygen. Okay, so it can occur in aerobic where oxygen is present, or anaerobic where oxygen is absent. Okay, so but the end products of this reaction varies depending on the presence or absence of oxygen. If it is aerobic, means in the presence of oxygen, glucose is converted into pyruvate. However, in the absence of oxygen, this glucose is converted into lactate. So depending on the presence or absence of oxygen, the end product of this pathway varies. In one case, if it is aerobic, then the end product is pyruvate. However, if it is anaerobic, then means the oxygen, where we don't have oxygen, the cells do not have oxygen, then in that case glucose is converted into lactate. Then some of the other features include, which I've already discussed, that it is essential for those cell types where mitochondria is absent. Other thing is glycolysis. Because it is a 10-step process, so there are some intermediates. So those intermediates are utilized in some other cycles for generation, for producing different other biomolecules like amino acids and fats. So the intermediates, they are also utilized in other cycles for production of other molecules like amino acids, some of the essential amino acids, as well as fats. Okay, so this is about glycolysis. So let's in general, if we have to summarize the total equation of glycolysis, so it is glucose, one molecule which is a 6-carbon compound, one molecule of glucose plus 2 molecules of 2 molecules of NAD plus 2 molecules of ADP plus 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate. It is converted into 2 molecules of pyruvate plus 2 molecules of ATP plus 2 molecules of NADH plus 2 molecules of H plus 2 molecules of water. So this is the entire, if we have to summarize the entire reaction of the glycolysis, what are the reactants and what are the products in simplest form, then 1 molecule of glucose, the entire process, the entire 10-step process pathway utilizes 1 molecule of glucose, 2 molecules of NAD plus, 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of inorganic phosphate to generate 2 molecules of pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon compound, along with simultaneous production of 2 molecules of ATP, 2 molecules of NADH, 2 H plus ions and 2 molecules of water. Alright, so let's look into the each and every step of glycolysis now. So this pathway is regulated, is highly regulated, and out of the 10 reactions that occur in the entire pathway, there are 3 regulatory checkpoints which are absolutely essential for the pathway to move in the forward direction. Rest of the reactions, they are not regulatory, and depending on the concentration of reactants and products, the rate of the reaction as well as the direction will vary. However, the 3 steps, out of the 10, there are 3 steps which are absolutely essential for the process, for the pathway to move in the forward direction. So let's begin with the first step. So in the first step, this is okay, before that let me tell you one more thing about glycolysis. So this out of the 10 steps, it is divided, the entire pathway is divided into 2 steps. One is investment phase, 2 phases actually. One is investment phase, which comprises of step 1 to 5, and the other is energy generation or dividend phase, which involves steps number 6 to step 10. So glycolysis, the entire pathway is divided into 2 steps, 2 phases: investment phase, which comprises of the first 5 steps, and energy generation or dividend phase, which comprises of the remaining 5 steps. So however, in some of the books or some of the references, you might see that it is mentioned that glycolysis is divided into 3 phases: investment phase, then second is splitting phase, and third is energy generation or dividend phase. Actually, step 5 is in some cases written as splitting phase, where this 6-carbon compound splits into 2 molecules of 3 carbon each. So in some cases it is mentioned as a separate phase, splitting phase. However, in most of the cases it is mentioned as it is included in the investment phase. So that is why I have written 2 phases, or I am explaining 2 phases. However, if you might come across some of the references where you might see that it is mentioned 3 stages. So that is why I wanted to clarify. So now in the investment phase, ATP is consumed. However, in the energy generation phase, ATPs are produced. So let's look into each and every step of the investment phase as well as the dividend phase to understand the entire pathway better. So in the first step, this step is regulated, where glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate at the cost of 1 ATP, where means 1 ATP is broken down into ADP, and the inorganic phosphate goes and attaches to the 6th carbon of the glucose molecule. It takes place in the presence of the enzyme hexokinase, and it requires magnesium ion as a cofactor. So kinases are enzymes which catalyze the phosphorylation reactions. So reactions where phosphate moiety is added to a non-phosphorylated biomolecule, so that those phosphorylation reactions, they are carried out by enzymes and they are known as kinases. And so the important feature of this step 1 of glycolysis is that it is a regulated step. It's a regulated step. And the second thing is that why the glucose molecule is phosphorylated, because the cell surface have receptors through which these glucose molecules, they can move out or move in to the within the cell. So via the transporters, these glucose molecules can move out. So however, the entire process has to take place within the cell cytoplasm. So just to make sure that all the glucose molecules, they remain within the cell cytoplasm, this glucose is phosphorylated. So phosphorylated molecules of glucose, they cannot move out of the cell cytoplasm. So just to make sure that all the glucose remains within the cell cytoplasm, just for the reactions, for the glycolysis reactions to proceed in the forward direction, so this glucose at the first step, it is phosphorylated, and 1 ATP is consumed in this process. Now the second step, so we have glucose 6 phosphate. So at the second step, this glucose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 6 phosphate. This is also a 6 carbon compound, and this is also a 6 carbon compound. Glucose and fructose, they are isomers. So this is basically a type of isomerization or rearrangement reactions, and this process takes place in the with the enzyme so this it takes place, this reaction is catalyzed by phosphoglucose isomerase, because it's just a rearrangement or isomerization of glucose 6 phosphate into fructose 6 phosphate. This is again a non-regulated step, and here it is isomerization or the rearrangement reaction takes place where glucose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 6 phosphate. Now we come to the third step. Now we have fructose 6 phosphate. This fructose 6 phosphate in the step 3, we have fructose 6 phosphate. This fructose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, again at the cost of 1 ATP. So 1 ATP is consumed for addition of second phosphate. So now at the first and the sixth carbon position, so we have 2 phosphate groups. This reaction is catalyzed by enzyme PFK, or also known as phosphofructokinase, and this is a highly regulated step where phosphorylation occurs. Phosphorylation of fructose 6 phosphate occurs at the cost of 1 ATP. So 1 ATP is broken down into ADP and inorganic phosphate, and that inorganic phosphate goes and attaches to the first position of this fructose 6 phosphate. That is why it is 1,6. So these numbers, they denote the position at which the phosphate group is attached during these reactions. So this step, third step, so we have discussed about 2 steps which are regulated, step 1 and step 3. Okay. Next we go to the fourth step of the investment phase, where this at step 4 we have fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and this fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is now converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate plus dihydroxyacetone phosphate. These are 3 carbon compound each in the presence of the enzyme fructose bisphosphate aldolase. Fructose bisphosphate aldolase. So at the step 4, fructose 1,6-phosphate. So here this 6 carbon compound after after addition of 2 phosphate group to this fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, at step 4 this 6 carbon compound is now broken down into 3 carbon compound each. One is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and the other is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. By the enzyme, this reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme fructose bisphosphate aldolase, and we come to the end of the investment phase, which is the step 5, where there is interconversion of dihydroxyacetone phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate by triose phosphate. This is an isomerization reaction. So triose phosphate isomerase. So these are the 5 steps which are there in the investment phase. So what we have seen till now, one glucose molecule, which is a 6 carbon compound, by utilizing 2 ATP molecules is converted into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate plus 2 ADP plus 2 inorganic phosphate. So this is the summary of the investment phase. And in the investment phase, out of the 5, 2 are regulated steps. So in order to say, if we summarize the investment phase, we have a glucose plus 2 ATP. This is converted into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate plus 2 ADP plus 2 inorganic phosphate. So this is the in summary of the investment phase. Now we begin so the step 5 which we just discussed, I'm sorry, I should have told you this earlier. So step 5, where this DHAP dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, this step in some places where there is splitting phase, so this is that step. However, it is included in many of the 95% of the books. You'll find this to be a part of the investment phase. However, in some instances you'll find intermediate step, which is breakdown phase or the splitting reaction. So this is that. Okay, so now we begin with the dividend phase, phase 2, which is the dividend phase, where there is conversion of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into 2 molecules of pyruvate, along with the simultaneous release of ATP and NADH molecules. So if we start with step 6, we have 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is at the 6th step is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, where 1 molecule of NAD plus is reduced to NADH in the presence of the enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. So there is reduction of NAD plus to NADH. So this is basically oxidation reduction reaction, and such enzymes which are involved in oxidation reduction reactions, they are known as oxidoreductases. So hydrogenases, they are a part of oxidoreductases. So at the 6th step, what happens? Glyceraldehyde. So we have 2 molecules of each. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate at the cost of 1 NAD plus, which is reduced to NADH. This is not a regulatory step. Next we come to the step 7. So we have 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate which is this 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate plus 1 molecule of ATP is produced. So here 1 ADP is utilized because we have two phosphate groups here. 1,3-bis, it is 1 at the first position and at the third position, 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate. Now what do we have? We have 3-phosphoglycerate. So the phosphate group which is present at the first position, that is released and it phosphorylates ADP to produce ATP. And this reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme phosphoglycerate kinases. Now at the 8th step we have 3-phosphoglycerate which is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate by the enzyme phosphoglycerate mutase, where isomerization, this is an isomerization reaction, so or a rearrangement where phosphate from the third position goes and moves to the second position. So this is the step number 8 which is an isomerization reaction. So at the third phosphate at the third position of phosphoglycerate goes and binds to the second position of the and forms 2-phosphoglycerate. Now we come to the 9th step. Step 9. So we have 2-phosphoglycerate. So we have 2-phosphoglycerate and this 2-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate plus ATP. Phosphoenol pyruvate plus water molecule is released. So 2-phosphoglycerate forms phosphoenol pyruvate at the it requires Mg2 plus, and this is also a non-regulatory step, and a condensation reaction occurs and a non-hydrolytic cleavage. So and the 10th and the last step of glycolysis is conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate into pyruvate plus ATP. This is a highly regulated and irreversible reaction, and this is where ADP is converted into ATP, and it is catalyzed by the magnesium ion acts as the cofactor and catalyzed by the enzyme pyruvate kinase. This is irreversible. So we have pyruvate plus ATP. So these are the 10 steps where glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, is broken down into 3 carbon compound each with the simultaneous production of ATP. So for each molecule of pyruvate we have 2 ATP, and because we have 2 molecules generated, so in total we have 4 ATPs which are produced in the entire pathway. However, out of the 4 in generalized term we say that 2 ATPs are produced, because out of the 4 ATPs, remember in the investment phase 2 ATPs are consumed. So if we subtract 2 ATPs, and therefore overall 2 ATPs are produced. So this is all about glycolysis. And so what we have seen is that out of the 10 steps, 3 steps are highly regulated, which is the first step, which is the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase. Then the third step where fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, which is the step 3, and then ultimately the 10th step where phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate. So these 3 steps are highly regulated, for which delta G is negative. And if you remember the thermodynamics of class 12 chemistry, so the reactions for which delta G is negative, so those reactions are irreversible. So that is why these 3 steps are the key players or the key regulators for the entire pathway. So this is all about glycolysis, and if you all have any queries regarding this, you can ask me in the comment section or on the email ID, and I'll be happy to answer all your queries and doubts. We'll now discuss about pentose phosphate pathway in the coming video. So stay tuned. Share this video among your friends. Do hit like and do subscribe to the channel to get regular such videos, which will be helpful for you to clear your exams like CSIR, ICMR, JRF, DBT, ASRB, IIT, JAMS, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned, and thank you.